Now, we all measure success differently. And I know you always have this message, and it's a great analogy on how we really should measure our success instead of just holding bone or shooting a turkey and all that stuff, which is absolutely great.
Mm-hmm.
That's icing on the cake.
Yeah.
But when it comes to wildlife management, you have a great way of looking at it. That's like, you know what, when you stop and think about it, that's how we should.
Yeah.
It's a great conservation type mentality.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, a lot of the people who manage wildlife also hunt wildlife. Mm-hmm. And, deer, turkeys, whatever, your species may be. And you measure your success as a wildlife manager based on whether you kill a big buck, mm-hmm. whether you shoot your limit of turkeys, whether you tag out on ducks, whatever it may be. That's how you measure your success. And in the years that you don't, you may look at that year as a failure, which is absolutely the wrong way to do it. And I mean, we talk about wildlife management being an art form. I mean, different types of art, music, like listen with your ears, a painting, brush strokes, color, look with your eyes. That's how we should manage or, measure our success as wildlife managers. And we're in a field right now where if you listen, I hear blue jays, not anywhere close.
And a titmouse, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and a lawnmower.
And a lawnmower too. And a lawnmower.
That's all I can. I mean, would you consider this good wildlife habitat?
When you first look at the stuff that's behind Cody and I, you would like, oh my gosh, this is great. It's vast. Yeah. It's got but no, it's a solid monoculture. Really, there's only a couple, I shouldn't say that because there's a couple of species, but it has the possibilities of being absolutely amazing. But again, using that analogy, that way of looking at it through hearing, and then also sight, right? Because you're talking about different colors.
Yeah. We don't hear a lot of life. We don't hear a lot of birds. We hear the lawnmower. Yeah. That's all we can hear. We don't hear a lot of life. And then as an artist, you make use of the entire color palette, not me, because I can't paint or draw worth a lick, but, apply that to wildlife management. A solid color of anything is never a good thing in wildlife management. This is all green behind us. Yeah. Think of a food plot that's all green. You would want to diversify your food plot mixes even. Mm-hmm. But think of if this were a pollinator patch or an old field, you'd have goldenrod, you'd see yellows, you'd see purples, you'd see blues, you'd see different colors. The entire color palette would be represented. Now, just because this field, the only management it receives is just mowing once or twice a year. And the result is just is solid green. Yeah.
And with that concept, that way of thinking, that the colors, and then that creates the life, because then you have bees. Mm-hmm. You have the whole, from the stuff in the ground that we talked about way back a couple months ago about the oaks and stuff in the forest, the stuff, the life that's underneath our feet, on up. Yeah. That's what creates the life. That's what creates the sounds. And that's how, you talked about how to measure, most of us measure success by holding what we harvest. Yeah. And that can take you down a bad road. For sure. As silly as it sounds, depression, it can strain a relationship. It could affect your family because you're not like everybody else is harvesting and I'm not, blah, blah, blah. Well, some of us actually have bad luck. That could be the reason. Yeah. But you know what? If you do have all that other stuff going on, man, you are the one that's winning.
Right.
And that's just how we're looking at it. I mean, that's a good way to look at it. It's not like, well, I can't shoot anything, that's so great. Right. I'm gonna hold this trophy up. Yeah. Not at all. Yeah. Not at all. That's how we should. I love that mentality. But again, this has the possibilities of being absolutely amazing. Yeah. We could have all that. It's a blank canvas, and we are holding a bunch of paint. We can create that life. Yeah. But again, using what, like Cody was saying, using the senses, man, we could create so much right here.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we're in this type of environment now, and no color, straight green, not a lot of life. You listen, you hear a couple blue jays off in the distance, and a lawnmower, which again is very fitting given the type of environment and habitat we're in right now. But now we're going to go to an environment, an area where we actively manage it with cutting and fire, and where we're creating life, and we're going to listen for life, for birds, for bees, and we're going to show you the difference between these two environments, and that's how we're going to measure the success of our management
of a true wildlife management project or whatever. So all right,
let's go. All right, so we literally just took a little drive, maybe a quarter of a mile from where we just came from, and if you at night, it's so cool, man, where we just came from and how devoid of life that area was. And then we come up here, and this is an area we actively manage. I mean, we're in a 2-year-old clear cut. We have a water hole right down over there goes an indigo bunting we have been watching all morning. There's a clear cut we ran fire through a couple months ago, and so much life. You hear it, you see it, you feel it. You do, you feel it, you feel it, you do.
Yeah, and we went to a specific place, but if we went into into the woods, it would have been the same thing as that field.
Yeah.
Just certain species, and not a lot of them, and how easy. Like, we had somebody, Cody and them had somebody come in here and log it, but this is stuff that you can do on a smaller scale, cutting and then doing the burning and stuff like that. And again, just creating that life. Yeah. I mean, you should hear it. Hopefully everyone can hear it. It's just, you got indigo buntings, you got cardinals, you got titmouse. And that's what's really neat too, that not a lot of people talk about. We kind of skim the surface, is that when you do this, we know about deer. We know the protein levels and minerals and all that stuff, and what it takes to go into planting food plots, and even a little bit of the turkey stuff and the quail and pheasants and stuff. It's not basic management, but it is just, there's stuff to learn, and it's actually somewhat, you can comprehend it. Sure, yeah. But when it comes to the non-game aspect of it, we kind of maybe stay shy of it because it's hard to retain, or it's hard to learn, but this is opening up a whole new world, and it's exciting. It really is, as a hunter, and learning something new, and actually you micromanage things, which is for whitetail and turkey production. Oh my gosh, this is just all boom. Yeah. There's so much life up here. I mean, it sounds kind of weird and cheesy to say that you can feel it, but you can. You can feel the life, you can feel the energy, whether it's the sounds from the songbirds, or a bee flying by you, or seeing the deer and turkeys and the birds. I mean, you can feel and see it. And to go back to what we talked to at the beginning, so often we measure our success whether or not we kill whatever we're after. And this is how I measure success. Honestly, I mean, as I was coming up here and we got off the side-by-side, I told you, the property, it's coming to life. It really is. And it is. And to determine whether or not your property is the same, just go for a walk and let your senses guide you. Leave your phone at home and just take it all in. Listen for birds singing, a grouse drumming, a quail, a turkey gobble, bees buzzing. Let your eyes guide you. As cheesy as that sounds, do you see life? Do you see color? Or do you see just green mowed fields or closed canopy timber where you can see 100 yards through it? Let your senses determine the success of your management efforts. Yeah, and the other place that we went to, you seen just this big vast field, and it would be impressive to see, and it's like, oh my God, there should be so much life. But there was a couple species of vegetation in there. Yeah. Certain species. It wasn't, it was almost a monoculture, but not quite. But here, it's green, but it's different types of green and everything else, and there's so many. It's such a smorgasbord of different types of plants. Yeah. We got mountain mint. Mountain mint. There's a type of fleabane right beside us. There's red bud regeneration. There's a bramble that's been browsed. There's pokeweed.
ragweed, partridge pea.
Yeah. And stuff that we're still learning.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's unique.
Well,
and we can add, well, yeah, that's right.
I don't know it all. But.
Yeah. Well, I try to dumb it down so that way we feel equal, you know. So, anyway, no, it's just, and what's great about this is like we're going to do a controlled burn this coming year, or excuse me, 23.
Yeah.
You know, winter, spring of 23, and we're going to even diversify it even more by putting some pollinator stuff, maybe some warm season grasses such as little blue, Indian, and maybe a little bit of switch. Very like minute, but most, you know, just a small bunch grass just to add a little bit more diversity to it.
Yeah.
More color, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Diversity, color, sounds. As an artist, that's what drives you. I mean, when you listen to a good song, you feel it. When you see something beautiful, you're inspired. That's what good art is, and wildlife management can be exactly that. Listening to these birds, like I'm inspired, honestly, listening to it, because you know the work that you've done is worth it, and it makes you want to do more and create more habitat and benefit wildlife even more. But
yeah, and it makes you one thing just to hammer it home. When you measure the success this way by your senses, you just end up being harder on yourself.
Yeah.
And you actually walk around with a smile. Yeah. I mean, you're just, I know this sounds really stupid, but you're happier. Sure, I know. But no, it's just a great way to mentally switch gears that way. It's very hard to do, macho, whatever, but yeah, it is a great way to measure success. And yeah, it just, like you said, inspires you, it motivates you to do even more because it's never ending.
Yeah. No, there's so much life here. Like we've said time and time again, there's so much life, so much wildlife, and as it is for us, I'm sure it is the same for you. Wildlife, it's our way of life.